an action, albeit science fiction genre, character-driven at the same time.
Before Barry Levinson created cinema's most intellectually ambitious psychological thriller, Sphere was dismissed as too cerebral and impossibly complex by studio executives who couldn't understand how an underwater alien mystery could explore the dangers of unlimited power and the unconscious mind's darkest impulses.
We're ready, thank them.
Habitat to Navy dive, our team's ready to take over.
The cast has finally revealed shocking secrets that will transform your understanding of this misunderstood masterpiece that audiences weren't ready to comprehend.
No, you couldn't get any munchies, but munchies were right at the surface, so...
The Michael Crichton novel that nobody could crack. What most fans don't realize is that Sphere was considered unfilmable by every major director who read the script, because the story's psychological complexity and ambiguous nature defied traditional Hollywood narrative structure.
I was interested in doing a story about alien contact where
the novel's exploration of how the human mind would handle godlike power seemed impossible to translate into visual storytelling without becoming either pretentious or incomprehensible. Dustin Hoffman revealed years later that he initially refused the role of Norman Goodman multiple times. "I thought the character was too passive and reactive for a leading role. How do you make compelling cinema about a psychologist whose main function is observing others while failing to understand his own psychological demons?" It seemed like a recipe for boring, talky drama rather than engaging thriller. The actor's hesitation reflected widespread doubt about the material's cinematic potential. Sharon Stone disclosed that the script went through 17 different drafts trying to make the psychological concepts accessible. Every writer who touched it struggled with how to show internal psychological processes visually. The Sphere grants wishes from the unconscious mind. How do you film that without endless exposition? The challenge was making abstract psychological theory into concrete visual drama. The adaptation difficulties nearly killed the project multiple times. Samuel L. Jackson noted how the project's intellectual ambition intimidated potential directors and stars. "We were proposing to make a film about Jungian psychology, the dangers of wish fulfillment, and whether humans deserve godlike power. Studios wanted either a monster movie or a science fiction adventure, not a philosophical examination of the unconscious mind's capacity for destruction." The ambitious psychological themes challenged Hollywood's commercial instincts and audience expectations for thriller entertainment. The underwater isolation that drove the cast to breaking points. The habitat sets weren't just impressive production design.
All right.
They were claustrophobic pressure chambers that created genuine psychological stress and interpersonal tensions. What the cast revealed about filming in these oppressive environments shows how real isolation enhanced their portrayals of characters psychologically unraveling under extreme conditions. The decision to film primarily on enclosed underwater habitat sets rather than using more exterior shots was deliberately calculated to create authentic claustrophobia. "We spent weeks filming in those cramped, windowless sets with artificial lighting and recycled air," disclosed Dustin Hoffman. "The environment was genuinely oppressive and uncomfortable, which made our characters' increasing paranoia and stress feel completely authentic rather than performed." Sharon Stone revealed how the confined spaces created real interpersonal tensions that enhanced the story's themes about psychological breakdown under pressure. "Being trapped in those sets for 12-hour days with the same small group created genuine friction and irritability," Stone disclosed. "We didn't have to act stressed and claustrophobic. We were experiencing it authentically, which made the characters' deteriorating relationships feel completely real." The underwater setting's constant sense of danger from the ocean environment influenced everyone's psychological state during filming. "We were always aware that we were supposed to be thousands of feet underwater where any mistake could be fatal," revealed Liev Schreiber, who played Dr. Ted Fielding. "That constant low-level anxiety about the environment's hostility affected all of our performances and made the characters' fear feel genuine rather than theoretical." The sphere that granted terrifying wishes. The alien sphere wasn't just a mysterious object. It was physical manifestation of humanity's ultimate fear about unlimited power without wisdom. What the production designers revealed about creating this artifact shows how they made abstract psychological concepts concrete through visual design that suggested both infinite possibility and cosmic horror. The sphere's perfect reflective surface was designed to literally show characters confronting themselves while symbolizing how unlimited power forces people to face their own psychological darkness. The sphere reflected whoever looked at it, which was deliberate visual metaphor for self-confrontation, disclosed production designer Norman Reynolds. The alien technology wasn't just granting wishes, it was forcing people to confront what they truly desired in their unconscious minds. The decision to make the sphere beautiful and alluring rather than obviously threatening reflected themes about how dangerous things often appear attractive. The sphere had to be seductive and fascinating rather than frightening, revealed Barry Levinson. We wanted audiences to understand why the characters would want to enter it, despite not knowing what it did. The danger came from desire rather than obvious threat. The cast's reactions to seeing the elaborate sphere prop influenced their understanding of the story's themes about temptation and power. The sphere was genuinely mesmerizing when you stood in front of it, disclosed Dustin Hoffman. Even knowing it was just a prop, you could feel the pull to touch it and discover what it could do. That authentic fascination enhanced our portrayal of characters who couldn't resist despite growing evidence of danger. The sphere's ability to manifest unconscious fears as physical reality represented Freudian concepts about the id overwhelming the ego's rational control. The sphere bypassed conscious intention and responded to unconscious desires and fears, noted the writers. The horror came from realizing that what we think we want consciously is often completely different from what our unconscious mind actually desires, and unlimited power without self-awareness creates monsters. The psychological horror that studios tried to simplify the film's exploration of unconscious wish fulfillment wasn't just science fiction premise. It was sophisticated psychological examination that studios wanted to transform into simple monster movie. What the cast revealed about fighting to maintain the story's intellectual complexity shows how Hollywood resists cerebral content in favor of straightforward action. The studio's demand for a clear villain conflicted with the story's actual theme that the characters were their own worst enemies. Executives kept asking who the bad guy was, and we had to keep explaining that the threat came from within the characters themselves, disclosed screenwriters Stephen Hauser and Paul Attanasio. They wanted an alien monster, but the story was about how humans with unlimited power would destroy themselves through their own psychological flaws. The cast struggled to maintain the psychological complexity while delivering commercially viable performances required constant negotiation with studio notes. We were told to make the characters more heroic and less flawed, revealed Sharon Stone. But the entire point was showing how even intelligent, well-intentioned people have unconscious darkness that unlimited power would unleash. Sanitizing the characters' psychological problems would destroy the story's meaning. The film's ambiguous ending, where characters choose to forget their experience, was deliberately designed to provoke thought rather than provide closure. The decision to erase their memories represented humanity's inability to handle godlike power responsibly, noted Barry Levinson. Studios wanted a triumphant ending, but the story's message was that wisdom sometimes means recognizing our limitations and choosing ignorance over dangerous knowledge. The deletion of extended psychological discussions and character backstory reduced the story's intellectual depth to maintain pace. We filmed much more detailed exploration of each character's psychological issues and how their unconscious manifested, disclosed the cast. Those scenes were cut because test audiences found them too slow and talky, which eliminated crucial context for understanding why the sphere affected each person differently. The cast chemistry that masked real tensions. The on-screen camaraderie wasn't reflecting behind-the-scenes harmony. There were genuine tensions between method actors with conflicting approaches. What the cast revealed about their relationships shows how professional conflicts actually enhanced the story's themes about brilliant people who can't work together under pressure. Dustin Hoffman's intensive method acting approach created friction with cast members who preferred different preparation techniques. Dustin would stay in character and maintain Norman's anxiety and insecurity between takes, disclosed Samuel L. Jackson. Some of us found that exhausting and unnecessary, which created real tension that actually enhanced the characters' deteriorating relationships on screen. Sharon Stone's determination to make Beth Halperin a strong female character, rather than romantic interest, led to creative disagreements about character motivation. I fought constantly to ensure Beth had agency and psychological complexity beyond being the love interest, Stone revealed. Those battles were frustrating but resulted in a more nuanced character whose unconscious created genuine threats rather than just supporting the male character's journeys. The cast's intellectual debates about psychological theory and character motivation mirrored their characters' academic arguments. We would have intense discussions about Freudian versus Jungian psychology and how the unconscious actually works, noted the ensemble. Those real debates between educated actors informed the characters' interactions and made the academic conflicts feel authentic rather than scripted. The manifestations that revealed character psychology. The Sphere's creations weren't random monsters. They were specific manifestations of each character's unconscious fears and desires. What the cast revealed about the psychological meaning behind each threat shows how the film used horror imagery to explore personality flaws and trauma. The jellyfish that killed the crew represented Beth's unconscious anger and desire for revenge against men who had dismissed or betrayed her. Beth's manifestations were about feminine rage that had been suppressed through professional life, disclosed Sharon Stone. The jellyfish weren't random. They symbolized how her unconscious was expressing years of accumulated resentment through deadly beauty. The giant squid attack manifested Harry's childhood fear of sea creatures and his unconscious desire to be seen as important and powerful. Harry's manifestations came from insecurity and the need to prove his intellectual superiority, revealed Samuel L. Jackson. The squid represented his unconscious trying to create a situation where only he had the knowledge to save everyone, which would validate his worth. Norman's manifestations were the most subtle because his role as psychologist made him the most repressed and self-deceptive character. Norman's manifestations included the false memories and the entire framing structure that made him unreliable narrator, noted Dustin Hoffman. His unconscious was rewriting reality itself to protect his ego from confronting his own failures and insecurities. The deleted ending that changed everything. The theatrical cut wasn't the original vision. Extensive sequences were removed that fundamentally altered the story's meaning and philosophical implications. What the cast revealed about the lost ending shows how studio interference transformed ambiguous psychological horror into more conventional thriller conclusion. The original ending included much more explicit discussion about whether the characters actually experienced the sphere or whether the entire story was Norman's unconscious fantasy. The extended ending made it much clearer that we couldn't trust anything we'd seen, disclosed Dustin Hoffman. The ambiguity about what was real versus imagined was supposed to be central theme, but test audiences found it frustrating and confusing. Additional scenes showed the characters struggling more explicitly with the decision to erase their memories, with more discussion about whether forgetting was wisdom or cowardice. We filmed extensive debate about whether choosing ignorance was enlightened or just avoiding responsibility, revealed Sharon Stone. Those philosophical discussions were cut because they slowed the pace, but they provided crucial context for understanding the ending's meaning. The deleted material included more explicit indication that the sphere was still active and might choose other test subjects. The original ending suggested that the sphere would continue testing humanity until it found someone worthy or concluded that humans would never be ready, noted Barry Levinson. That open ending was replaced with more definitive closure that implied the threat was completely resolved. Watch Sphere again with appreciation for its psychological sophistication, its examination of unconscious motivation, and its provocative questions about whether humanity deserves power beyond our wisdom to use responsibly. Notice how every manifestation reveals character psychology and how the ambiguous structure questions the reliability of everything you're seeing. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into science fiction's most intellectually ambitious films. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads, and let us know in the comments whether you think the characters actually experienced the sphere or whether it was all Norman's imagination. The unconscious mind holds secrets we're not ready to confront.